Hey guys, it's Lydia, still deaf, still going big. Let's get into it. So, in today's topic, we're going to talk about dance vs hearing loss and how that all works out. Because I'm sure a lot of people will be thinking, well, how on earth could she possibly be dancing in time with the music, right? Well, I'm here to give you all the answers, okay? So listen up! If there's one thing you should know about me, I'm very dramatic. It's just the performer in me. So how do I dance in time with the music? Whenever people have asked me this question, I've always stuck to the same answer, just because it was given to me. I don't know from who, I don't know when, but I kind of always stuck to it because I still didn't understand it myself, like how I was dancing in time with music, until I've gotten older and started to develop my own answers. So I always originally said that I could feel the vibration on the floor, but I don't think that is now necessarily true. So what I hear in the music is I hear a lot of bass beat, and that basically acts like a metro for me to keep in time with the music. What else I can hear in the music is the melody. I can hear someone singing, but I wouldn't know what the lyrics were unless I know the song myself. And if I don't know the song, I have to physically look up the lyrics beforehand. Otherwise, I'm just not gonna catch it like how hearing people do. So I'm just going to demonstrate for you what I can hear in a piece of music. Unfortunately, it's going to have to be a royalty-free music because of copyright reasons, so this one might be a little bit boring, but I'm going to point out what I can hear, and I might pause it and explain what I'm hearing, and hopefully that's going to be insightful for you guys. Okay? So, boom, pa, boom, pa, that's what I'm hearing. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and. I know that just got a little bit quieter, and I've sort of like taken away something in there. And I'm back to basic. So hear that like warping sound, like I can't mimic the sound, but I can hear like some warping stuff going on. I'm gonna play a different type of music just to show contrast, so I'll explain what I'm hearing in this. So I know this is like the melody, the main like the 4 notes. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, and hurried it. And it goes into beat. And it's still, I can still hear the melody. They're playing exactly the same 4 notes. Boom, 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 boom. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So now I'm going to talk you through a couple of challenges that I've gone through or I'm still going through as a full-time dancer. So to be a dancer, you have to have obviously good musicality, good rhythm. You have to have texture, level, dynamic, being able to pick up and retain choreography, being able to adapt to different styles, and the ability to network if you want to take dancing as a serious career. But when it comes to being a deaf dancer, you need to have all of those things, but you also have to cope with the added challenges of being in a mainstream environment, because that's essentially what the performing art is. You know, we're surrounded by so many hearing people. I'm going to give you a few examples of challenges that I may face or another guest dancer may face. Everyone's experience is different. So it depends where the studio is located. Now, I usually take regular classes at base in London, and literally in an hour and a half class, I hear about 4 or 5 different trains just going past because the studio is literally located right under the train track, so that can be really frustrating. I'm now sort of not going to base anymore because of that very reason. Another example is when teachers are moving around the room, and as someone that lip reads and completely rely on lip reading, I missed out on vital information all the time. So my only way of adapting is to either get myself to the front of the class, or I observe other people's performances and pick out little bits and pieces to then implement into my own performance. So that way I'm sort of half understand what the choreographer or teacher wants from me. When you are in a dance audition, sometimes panels are quite far back in the venue and then you can't see what they are saying. So I may sometimes hear or don't hear if they call my number, and if I am unsure, I have to build up the courage to go over to them directly and be like, I'm so sorry, I'm severely deaf, I don't know if my number will call, could you please clarify this? And that can be quite a nerve-wracking thing because, if they say no, you're not through, it's kind of a little bit embarrassing, but at the same time, this is what I have to do to make sure that I'm not losing out on an opportunity or a job. And then lastly is not knowing what the song is. So sometimes choreographers, they do post what song they are choreographing to prior to the classes, but a lot of the time they don't, and if I don't know what the song is, then I don't know what the lyrics are, and that can be hard to then provide an in-depth performance. Obviously, there are certain things that I can sort of work out. So I can work out if a song is happy, sad, angry, that's pretty easy to navigate. But it's the lyric part, if they're going to choreograph based on the lyric, then I'm missing out, And I also then have to have the courage to ask them, what is it about, So to be a dancer, you have to have thick skin if you want to make it in the performing arts industry as a full-time professional career. To be a guest dancer, I think you have to have even thicker skin because one, this industry is full of hearing people, so they're more inclined to hire hearing people because it makes their jobs easier, so they don't have to go through all this extra stuff when it really shouldn't be the case, but that's how it is. Fortunately, the industry is evolving a bit more, but they could still do a bit more. And secondly, you have to prove to them every single time that you can do the job as expected and do it as well with the others. So if you have to work twice as hard, then you're going to do it because you love it enough to make a career out of it. It's also all about your who, what, when, being in the right time, being in the right place. And fortunately for me, I have been incredibly lucky, coming across the right people that have allowed me to do the job well and properly because they give me their belief and support in return. It all started when my mum took me to my very first ballet lesson at the age of 3. She wanted to make sure I was not left behind when it came to making friends and socialising in mainstream environments, especially because I was always the only deaf student and there wasn't a deaf community nearby that I could be a part of. So in the first 5 years, I was mostly classically trained in ballet, jazz and tap. Then at the age of 8, I branched out to other dance styles like disco freestyle, street, rock and roll, Latin and ballroom, so I took part in lots of dance competitions and pantomime shows. I also started to take it seriously at that age, so Mum took me to lots of ballet auditions in London, which I was particularly successful in. I then went to professional dance college for 3 years to get my diploma, and my first professional job was as a Lion Dragon performer on the Isle of Wight. I performed at the Wembley Euro final, at dance conventions like Move It, featured as a lead dancer in a music video, and then I got my big break as a cruise ship performer. I also had lots of random small projects or gigs with deaf organisations too. This is honestly a very short breakdown of my career. My life has just been filled with so many opportunities, lessons and blessings, and I'm thankful to have dance in my life. I've always looked to dance as my way of freedom, a way of expressing myself, a way to understand myself, and also form beautiful connections with other performers and friends. I recently decided not to do cruise ships anymore because I'd like to now focus on becoming a commercial dancer and performing for big artists. Performing in a stadium and travelling to more countries would be the absolute dream, so that is currently my next step. I'm not quite ready to have my own dance school yet, but I hope to keep paving the way for future deaf artists, and I will always encourage anyone to keep on fighting for what you love and what you believe in. Don't let other people dictate your future, only you are in control. Remember that. I usually post anything and everything to do with dance on my Instagram, so if you'd like to check it out, just click the link below. And until then, I will see you in the next vlog. Big,